Yeah, that won't do. How about this one? No. I'll tell you what, I'll just start the podcast. Hello, gorgeous. This is the first ever episode of the Andrew Culture podcast. You might be able to tell by my slightly cocksure kind of entry there that this is not my first rodeo. I've been podcasting for a little while, doing things for my business. But there was always people I wanted to talk to that weren't quite kind of fitting for what I do for a living. So I decided to start a personal podcast, and you can take that inference on the word personal however you wish to. Now, because this is the first episode, I don't have any guests, and I'm going to talk about myself. This is going to be pretty much the only time I do that. I think good podcast hosts just stew food, just don't say anything about yourself. I mean, you can reflect things and you can say, oh yes, I've experienced that, or my opinion of it. That's called a conversation. Kind of sitting and starting a podcast and talking about yourself is an ego. I nearly said a word then that I wouldn't want my mum to hear, and I don't wish things to go that way just yet. There'll be plenty of profanity in the future, but for the first episode, I'm going to try and keep things clean. Right, so I've briefly told you why I started this podcast. It's because I keep meeting interesting people and I keep wanting to put them on a podcast, but they just don't fit the podcast I already do. So I'm going to mention the podcast probably the only time I'll ever do it. My other podcast is called Internet Marketing for Humans. That's it. That's what I'm going to say about that. So what can you expect if you subscribe and adore this this podcast? Well, you can expect lack of edits like that. I'm not going to chop that bit out. You can expect conversations with interesting people along topics that I like, and hopefully you'll like as well. Those topics are probably going to be music, film. Hey, no podcast has done that before. But there's also going to be a slice of real life. I'm kind of very much on a self-improvement journey, as I think most human beings on Earth are. So there's going to be a little bit of that. I'm going to talk to some activists, hopefully, about some kind of interesting causes. These might be things you agree with. They might be things you don't agree with. But I think it's important in life to keep an open dialogue. So there you go. I'm pretty much going to wrap it up there. I don't think we need to go into much further depth. The only thing I'm going to end with is just remember, before you kind of move on to the next podcast, we are all just bags of meat on a big spinning rock in a void. On that cheerful note, I'm going to say tutty bye. Thanks for listening to the next episode, because I'm confident you will. Why? I don't know. Anyway, I'm running out of steam and I need coffee. Bye-bye. Well, that's the end of this one. So, what do you think? Do you like it? I hope so. This is the kind of bit that you might be able to tell I just use the same bit every time because, well, it's not so much lazy as efficient, but this is the bit where I say smash the like button or stab at it, or actually just stroke it gently. Be nice. Why would you be so aggressive? But please like, please subscribe, and please rank, rate, tell everyone this. These kind of things, I assume they matter. Everyone else says them. But there you go. So endeth this episode of the Andrew Culture podcast. If you want to know more about what I get up to, go have a look at andrewculture.com, because I won't bore you with it here. Anyway, until the next time, keep it cool, stand in a dry place, or do what you want. I'm not your boss. Bye.
We don't know for sure. I think weather can be changeable.